Hello there, YouTube. If you know me at all, you know that I have a gigantic passion and interest in Disney, to the point where maybe you should start worrying about me. Today, I want to start ranking their films era by era and share my thoughts about them. I have a lot of thoughts about these movies, and I thought it would be nice to start my channel talking my thoughts about them. So, in these rankings, there'll be lots of popular and unpopular opinions. So, if you can't take opinions, I suggest you go now. But if you can, I suggest you stay. If anything, I have bad taste in movies. So today, I'll start by ranking the golden age of Disney films. If you don't know what these are, those are the films made from 1937 to 1942. They were the first films that Wilderness animators worked on into World War II. And that's when things got really bad for the company, and they made films that everybody loves, like Make My Music and Melody Time, which you probably haven't heard of. But let's not worry about that right now and start ranking these films from my least favorite to my most favorite. Number 5, Snow White. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This guy just put Snow White at the bottom of the list. This guy has garbage opinions. I'm out of here. Unsubscribe. But before you go, I will say that I like this movie and respect it a lot. I mean, this is the first full-length animated feature. When you look at those character animations backgrounds in this movie, it's absolutely mind-blowing to think about. But when we get to the characters, that is where my problems start to come in. So I like the dwarves and the evil queen and think they're really enjoyable and all that. But Snow White herself would never click with me. She's too sweet and too kind, and I think it can make her act stupid, like when she takes the apple from the obviously evil hag. And plus, her voice gets on my nerves sometimes. I'm sorry. But, that out of the way, I actually think everything else in this movie is good. The animation is good, as I just said. I really enjoy the dwarves and their antics. I really enjoy the evil queen and her evil. So yeah, I really like this movie and respect it for what it did in pop culture. I just don't think it's a flawless classic that everyone else thinks it is. So I think it's a definite classic, some flaws. Number 4, Bambi. So I have mixed thoughts about Bambi. On one side, the movie has emotional moments and beautiful animation, while on the other side, the movie has tonal issues and scenes that drag on. So first, let's talk about the negatives. There are a lot of scenes that drag on in this movie. I mean, the scene where the main three are getting Twitter pated. I mean, I just couldn't wait for that scene to be over. It was awful. And the other negative about this movie is that there are tonal issues in this movie. I mean, right after Bambi's mom's death, the movie plays this very unfitting happy song about spring. It really undermines the moment that just happened. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the positives. So the first positive of this movie is that Bambi's mom's death is such a emotional, well done scene. I mean, this is probably the first scene in animation that shows that tragedy happens and sometimes we have to deal with it, which is sad and dark, but it's true. On And the other positive of this movie is that it has probably the best animation out of this whole list. Well, with the exception of one. But even though, it really feels like I'm in the forest and watching this movie. So, in conclusion, I think Bambi is a great time with some missteps. Number 3, Dumbo. This movie is so fun and charming to me. It's probably the one I had the most fun watching on this list. I mean, it has fun characters. I really like. I really like Timothy, Dumbo, Miss Jumbo, and yes, the crows. I think the circus setting is really immersive. I think Miss Jumbo and Dumbo's relationship is very good. I just think it's an all-around really good movie. But I have two major flaws with this movie. Number 1, the crows. Although I enjoy them, their stereotypes have not aged well in these times, and it can turn some people off. Number 2, although I love Pink Elephant scene with its awesome animation, abstract stuff, I'm not gonna stay here and say that it's not filler in a very short movie. It's like 1 hour and 1 minute. Wow, because they are like filler in a very short movie. So, in conclusion, done by those things that make it soar high in the air, but it has two flaws that make it start to weigh down. Number two, Fantasia. Oh boy, I cannot wait to talk about this movie. This movie is probably the best one on the list because of its beautiful animation and amazing music. I mean, just the music coordinating and animation alone is enough to put this at number one. But with all these great things I'm saying about this movie, you may be wondering, why didn't this guy put Fantasia as number one on the list? Well, that's because out of this whole list, Fantasia is the movie I'm least likely to watch again. I'm least likely to watch it again because there are segments that, are, even though really good, they can get really artsy and some of them can get really boring for me. I mean, the first segment in this movie is just abstract shapes flying to music. I mean, that sounds fun, right? But Fantasia, if you're a fan of classical music and animation, you gotta check this one out. It may be around Disney's best, but it is the least likely that I will watch it again. Number one, Pinocchio. Words can't describe how much I love this movie. Pinocchio, for me, is the pinnacle of the golden era. I mean, like, who can't forget those charming characters like Geppetto and Jimmy Cricket? And who can't forget the evil characters of Stromboli and the Coachman? I mean, another thing I love about this movie is that it's probably the darkest one on the list. I mean, there's literally a scene where kids get turned into donkeys just because they wanted to go to a carnival once. I mean, yikes. So yeah, Pinocchio has a lot of memorable scenes. I mean, that whale battle at the end is like some of the best animation I've ever seen, effects wise. So yeah, Pinocchio is number one for me, and I would really recommend it to anyone who's watching. I bet you won't regret it. Those things out of the way, things that only get better for the Disney Animation Company in the next era, right? I'll see you next time. So what do you think of my list? Is there anything you disagree with? If there is, be free to leave it in the comments below. And while you're there, why don't you hit the like button and subscribe button? It will help my channel out and it'll help me grow. Goodbye, and have a nice day.